We are T. Martin days away from the start of the 2026 season, where the Vols could either be 7-5 or 9-3. And this is the Volatile Podcast. Always here to remind you that being a Vols fan is a terminal diagnosis that we all share. I'm Mac Williams, and I'm joined by my good friends Jeff Wright and Nick Duncan. Jeff, how you doing tonight, bud?
Why, Mac, I am in my prime.
Nice. Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm on top of the world. It's best time of the year. Vols are going. I'm a little over 2 weeks away from getting to watch my Vols play. So I'm doing great.
What does manic depressive syndrome like as it pertains to sports fans?
I mean, this man's gone from Christmas music to depression to back to most wonderful time of the year. I don't even know how to keep tabs on this guy.
Hey, this is just your life as a Vol fan.
I guess so.
You're just watching one of your friends go through it. Don't act like this is something new.
It's like a thesis. But we are 1 day away. Who's the best Vol to wear one?
Jason Witten.
Okay,
Yeah.
There you go. Which, by the way, I hate because he destroyed me in our AI Best Teams Bowl. But we're 1 day away from
not as bad as tomorrow's pick. It did.
Seeing DGG take to the field.
That's right.
That's right.
Up.
It's
That's
exciting.
right. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I mean,
and though we're T. Martin days away from football time in Tennessee, we are only 13 days away, or no, less than that. We are 10 days away from college football in general.
Yeah,
so
correct.
Yeah,
correct.
This coming Saturday will be the last Saturday of no college football until basically Christmas. So
that's right. That's right. Yeah, no, tomorrow's game is going to be big. Thinking about Baylor and Brentwood, because not only is David Gabriel George playing, obviously for Baylor, but you have Kenny Simon, Kevin Simon's son, plays for Brentwood, so we'll get to watch him play as well. Who's also committed
Peyton
to
Manning's son,
and Peyton Manning's son's the backup at Baylor.
Yeah.
I doubt you'll see him, but
we could get a blowout.
We
Probably
could,
won't, but we could.
Probably won't, but definitely
whatever.
could.
DGG is going to run for 9,000 yards on his first 3 carries. And
that is not possible.
No, it is possible. Everything's possible right now before the football snap, Mac. That's what it means to be a Tennessee fan.
Best time of the year, according to Nick, when there's no football on.
Hey, it's all in front of you. It's all right in front of you.
Right.
It's the anticipation. It's like December 22, man. I mean, it's like the energy is like heightened.
Yeah.
You know, just like a few days before Christmas, the energy's so high.
I'm thinking, I still think Christmas Day is better than December 22nd. Not gonna lie.
I mean, is the resident Scrooge in the chat? I'm open. I'm open to the argument.
Jeff's like December 26th is what I'm looking for. So
yeah, because that's when we can take the stinking Christmas tree down.
That's sick behavior, dude. That's sick behavior.
It is sick behavior, man. It's insanity.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into some news here. Latest
That's the softest entrance into what we're actually talking. All right, let's get into some news.
Yeah, I don't even have any more to say about your Christmas tree habits and your hating of Christmas.
Be like, get these dishes done. All right, go ahead.
All right, latest news here. I wanted to start with the news that is most recent and then also most exciting for at least our friend group. And that is that the third Saturday in October will feature home versus home jerseys for the first time since October 17th, 1970 this fall in Neyland Stadium. We will have orange versus crimson, the two colors of fall. And this will be on the biggest stage and the biggest rivalry that plays in the month of October. Nick, you go first, man. What are your thoughts? You excited?
I've thought about almost nothing else all day long since I heard this news.
Yeah.
I've grown up watching old clips from the 60s and 70s of the crimson and the orange playing each other and have just thought for years and have had conversations with Vol fans like, why don't we do this? It looks so cool. And I think about it every year when they play, and it just seems like low-hanging fruit, like it's right there. It looks so cool. And I've always wanted to watch it, and now I'm going to get to. And I'm probably way too excited for this news than I should be, but I'm jazzed up about it. Like I switched the whole Rocky Top Roots because of this. Like,
Good. Jeff, you pumped?
Yeah. I mean, I'm legitimately excited about it. I'm not super energetic right now about it, but I think this is great. It's one of those things that it just seems like it was low hanging fruit for so long. It's hard to believe it took this long to kind of set it back. So I'm just glad they finally got to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Danny White, right?
No.
Yeah.
I actually read the article about it, and it seemed to put more emphasis on Heupel and DeBoer coming to an agreement on this.
That makes sense.
It does make sense.
It makes sense. And it's also like in the day and age where they're trying to destroy college football, like just leaning back into more of the traditions just makes me feel like there are still people left that love it and understand it. Yeah. Even if they're not the ones that are in control. So.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly right.
That's Danny White calling you, telling him to get off your back.
Ironically, I almost said, "Hey, Jeff, don't forget to turn your alarms off before we started." And I wish I would have now.
Do you know how much I wish that was Danny White calling me? That's a call.
If Danny White ever calls you during the podcast, we will be taking that call live.
We will take it, yeah.
On the podcast.
It may get us kicked off YouTube. It may get me kicked out of my church. It may get me kicked out of society. But, yeah, I would take that call.
We'll get a lot of hits on Rumble, though, when we get kicked off of YouTube. So,
oh, man. Well, taking that happy news of the orange versus crimson jerseys this fall and heading into more somber news, Edrees Farooq is out for the season. This happened earlier this week. This brings our list of contributing players that are out for the season to 3. So that's Farooq, Jaden Harmon, and Jadis Richard are now those 3 guys. We talked about last week how the average, according to AI, was 1 to 4 players out for season. Now you're 3 out of the 4 average. This is obviously the biggest loss so far of those guys on that list, right?
Without a doubt. I mean, Edrees had a good year last year. He grew throughout the season and got a lot better, was playing pretty good football by the end of the year. And all the hype this offseason has been about how the safeties are what make this new defense go. Mm-hmm. And Farooq is going to be one of those guys like Knowles likes to play 3 safeties. You've heard about that a ton. And he was going to be one of the starting safeties, right? So it's a black pill for sure. Like it's not good.
Well, and the fact that Jim Knowles had brought in that safety from Penn State. I'm blanking on his name right now. No, Metcalf's from Michigan.
Oh yeah. DeSean Lane.
DeJean Lane. I think it's like a J.
His last name's definitely Lane.
Lane. So. Yes, you're right. I think it's Dejuan. I think it's like DeJean, like the mustard. Anyways, either way, that guy. So Knowles had brought him over, and TJ Metcalf was pretty much going to be a starter. Like, he was good enough, played at Michigan last year. He's going to be a starter. And you had Farooq, who wasn't a starter at the, in 2025 at the beginning of the season. And then throughout the year got better and better and better. Had the iconic play against Kentucky last year where he was blitzing off the edge and swatted that ball and intercepted it and took it to the house. And he just got so good last year that you thought, well, Farouk's probably going to be a starter this year. But when Lane came in, it was like, well, this guy might start over him just because he's been with Knowles and he knows the system better. And from, all reports indicate that Farooq just showed at every turn that he was the better player, that he
was been balling out all fall.
Exactly.
All summer,
exactly.
So. Yeah,
exactly. And so, you were excited because of the flashes that he had shown you last year and the fact that he was beating out this guy from Penn State who had already been in the defense for a job. It showed just how far along he had come. And for him to suffer an injury like this at this point in the season, right before the season starts, sucks pretty bad for him.
Brutal.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is another year where Tennessee loses a starting secondary member, and you're like, that may have been, well, I mean, last year you knew, but this could possibly be the most critical,
Yeah.
I would probably rather lose him than one of our cornerbacks, but it's
agreed.
Pretty close.
I mean, it's like what, the 3rd year in a row that's happened, or the 4th, and And also, like, the way they were talking about Farooq, you're thinking he could be the best guy in the secondary, honestly.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
fall, like the way they've
Yeah.
been talking about it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, we did pick
ironically,
we did pick up
Go
that
ahead,
kid
Jeff.
from Tennessee Tech, so I don't feel too bad about it, you know.
Yeah. Ironically,
Monty Hunt.
yeah, Monty Hunt. Yeah, and we'll talk about him in just a minute. But ironically, I don't know if y'all saw this, but Jim Knowles named Edrees Farooq the like practice player of the day because I guess in the morning they like review, like I'm sure they have, you know, just tape from practice and they kind of review that, I guess, in the mornings. And so he had named him the practice player of the day from the previous day. And he had like posted a picture on the social media of like Farooq standing in front of the PowerPoint and like, you know, player of the day, whatever. And then he gets hurt that day. Brutal.
It's the Tennessee curse, man.
So
Yeah, it's like the Madden curse, but it's like the Jim Knowles PowerPoint curse.
How about did y'all see that clip of Aaron Carter snatching that interception out of the air? So maybe
Yes.
Arion just rotates back to safety. We'll let him blitz a little. We'll let him play safety a little. You know, he can just be everything except for the 2 games he's suspended by the stupid NCAA.
Yeah. Well, since we've already mentioned it, we'll go ahead and talk about Monty Hunt real quick. Just not on our notes, but it's good to talk about. So yeah, Monty Hunt, Tennessee signs him. Monty Hunt is a player who came in the class of 2022. He's played at Tennessee Tech. And this is a guy who is now eligible because of that ruling that the class of 2022 will get an extra year. I don't think that I had told y'all initially that I thought this guy could get some playing time. The more I've kind of thought about that and looked at his playing time at Tech, and I think that's not true. Apparently, he only got like a handful of snaps last year at Tech, and Tech was a pretty good team for their level last year. And so it seems like this is just a depth add, and he's probably not going to do much other than be a practice player.
It is strange. I mean, I know proximity, like in terms of distance, is a factor here, but it is odd. Well, it's interesting. You know, if this were a professional league, this is what you do. You lose a player for the year, you go out on waivers, and that player is going to be, you know, whatever, like a depth piece. But at least you have somebody on your roster, you know, to fill the slot. It's just weird to think that if that's the case with a dude at Tech, that there's not some other safety with some other kind of upside that you couldn't.
And Monty Hunt is a cornerback.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, he's not even a safety.
Yeah. So I think this is totally just like obviously, yeah, this guy is probably, he's basically probably just a walk-on, essentially. You know, like, I think this is probably just one of those things where because he's like a graduate transfer, he was able to come to Tennessee for basically nothing. And, you know, I'm sure he's probably on scholarship, but like for a graduate, that's not probably pretty extensive. And, you know, it's probably just a cheap addition where it's like, hey, he's got, you know, college football experience. This is another cornerback that we can throw on the practice field. And if we get just ridden with injuries, then he'll have some experience and be able to take the field and not be completely
played the
clueless.
position for in college. Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds
Which
exciting.
honestly, I know Tech doesn't move the needle for us, and rightfully so, but I think I would rather throw a guy like that in that situation versus like a true freshman who hasn't really done it before at that level. Now, obviously there's exception. Like if you have an elite true freshman, like 5-star guy, I'd rather have him. But, you know, the reality is like those guys are already going to be playing if we have any of those guys. So, yeah.
When it rains, it pours.
Right. The next bit of news here is that the Vols are ranked 20 in the preseason AP poll. When you saw this, what did you think, Jeff?
I thought that was probably program respect. You know, I think they ought to be.
So you think we're high?
Well, I think we ought to be top 25. 20 would be the high end range for me.
Okay.
Particularly with no quarterback. And so I just thought that, you know, usually I'm not used to thinking that Tennessee was treated well. You know, my theory is that they probably put us a little high so that if we fail to meet that standard, they can say what a bad year we had. But it's a little high. It's just a little high.
Nick?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of disagreement. It felt about right. Probably about what I expected, 20 to 25.
Yeah, talent-wise and coaching-wise, I don't think there's 20 teams that are better than us. So 20 feels about right. But when it comes to actual wins and losses and what you're going to produce in this season, there's probably 20 teams that are going to have a better year than us, if I had to guess.
Yep.
So,
if I had to pick a number, I would have guessed 23. That's not respective of like sorting all the other teams, but 23 feels sort of right for
LeBron.
Me.
Yeah, LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron.
Okay. We don't have to do that on this podcast. We don't have to do that. Yeah,
I'm trying not to take the bait.
I agree that with like the roster and the coaches. I mean, I maintain that this is a year where we could be better than last year, and I think we may be, and have a worse record. So.
No, I think that's true, Nick. I mean, with the added experience on the offensive line, DeSean Bishop another year, the receivers are a year better. Your defense is going to be better coached at least, and probably be better in some areas. I think we're definitely going to be a better team, but because you're playing a more difficult schedule, I think that's a given. Right now, I would say this team's already better than last year, if I had to guess.
See, really, because I think I would think that they would be better by the end of the season, because it seems like so much is dependent on the quarterback. And we didn't have stellar quarterback 2 years ago. I was pretty satisfied with Joey. I know you were more critical than I was, Mac, but like, I just think with no matter how talented Faison is, and I now officially believe that Faison is the guy. I think the last week has kind of made that.
Because you heard me in last week's podcast, right? I convinced you.
Yes, that was definitely.
I knew it. I knew it.
I still think Faison's got a lot of room to grow, and I think he could be better. I think our team could be better when he ramps up after he gets some more playing under his belt.
Yeah, I guess what I mean by that, when I said like I think this year's team is already better than last year's, what I mean is like except for quarterback, like Joey brought a lot of experience to the table, which is why he was able to be as good as he was as early as he was. I agree with you that Faison's going to need a little bit more time to get acclimated to college football, but I think by position group, I think this year's team could line up and beat last year's team right now.
But, see, I don't right now. But like what I would grant you is if we took the average of the roster rating, like on NCAA football, our average is probably higher for this team than last year's. I just think having a quarterback who's seasoned is so important. So like, I don't want to pick a fight about it. I don't think you could trot out a team without a quarterback right now versus a team with a quarterback and have them win at that point. Now, at the end of the season, if we're not better than the team that finished last year, that'll be bad. That'll be ugly.
Yeah. Next bit of news here is that 4-star quarterback Caden Kraft officially commits to Tennessee. We touched on him being, kind of looking like he was going to go to Tennessee last week, and he has officially committed since our last recording. All the intangibles are there for this guy. He's pretty tall. He's a little bit thicker than George McIntyre. He's also pretty fast. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
How fast he was, like a 4.5, right?
Yep, exactly.
And he, the picture we got with the announcement made him look like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Like he looked full baked. And I was like, that guy runs a 4.5. Are there brownies available at the end of it?
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if Tennessee is the program we hope they are, this kid's never going to see the field unless he just is amazing. And obviously, if he's amazing, then he'll earn the spot, and that is what it is. Great, good, good for him, good for us. But in all reality, like if Faison is as advertised, this kid's probably not going to see the field because you're going to have Faison for at least 2 years, this year and next year, and then after that, you're going to recruit another kid, with him that's also probably a higher caliber player, and he might not ever be here. But it's always good to have quarterbacks. You should be getting a high caliber quarterback every year if you want to be competitive. And so I was glad to see Tennessee continue on that trend.
His name has left my mind, but the kid they're bringing in this year has a lot of upside. And so I really do wish we could see a year where the transition isn't from starter to true freshman. Like
right.
Even if it's not a full year of difference, it would just be nice to get to a point where we start with a veteran and then eventually the young kid can grow into the role slowly. That would be dope.
Yeah. I see this kid as replacing George McIntyre because it's the chance of George McIntyre being here, after Christmas is incredibly small. So because Faison's going to play, and unless it's an absolute catastrophe, George isn't going to play unless we're up by 50 points. So,
yeah. And Caden Craft is class of 2028, so you'll play Faison's freshman and sophomore seasons before he even steps on campus. Yep. So, I mean, to your point, Jeff, Faison's going to be a veteran. I mean, he'll have 2 full years in college and have his third year, assuming that he's still here and still healthy and still playing good, where he would be studying under Faison as a junior, and he would be a freshman. And hopefully Heupel will do a good job of getting him ready by putting him in games that are a blowout. If we play a meaningless bowl game in that season, which God forbid, we should be in the playoff, but if we happen to miss the playoff and play in a meaningless bowl game, then I would hope that Josh Heupel has plans to do like what he did with Nico and play this kid in that bowl game in Faison's junior year and whatnot. So,
I mean, ideally, that kid who's coming in this year with all that talent that they're saying, I've consistently heard, for what it's worth, on the various podcasts, that this kid will probably end up with a higher rating in terms of stars by the end of this senior season for him than he has right now. And that, the lower rating was never about physical tools for him. And so, just forgive me for hoping that this kid's not just studying under Faison. He's studying under a guy who maybe a Joe Milton type, right? A lot of physical gifts, maybe hadn't put it all together, but at least there's a window where the veteran kind of gives him a chance to grow slower than being thrown into the fire immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. Next bit of news here. We're going to skip down. We'll go to DeSean Bishop. Today, it was announced that the Doak Walker preseason award watch list came out, and he was snubbed from that list. The Doak Walker award is the preseason watch list always features 62 of the top running backs in the country. DeSean Bishop was on the preseason watch list last year, and then after he was on that watch list, he ran for 1,000 yards and finished the season as a second team All SEC player last season, and somehow is not on it this year. What are your guys' thoughts about that? Nick, you go ahead.
I think it is highly implausible, regardless of the stats from the previous year, that any starting running back in the SEC on those 16 teams is not one of the best 62 running backs in the country.
Yeah, that's a good take.
I think that's probably objectively true, pretty much every year. That would be a really rare case. And so the fact that DeSean Bishop rushed for 1,000 last year and was awarded as a second-team player, like you mentioned, I mean, it's criminal. These awards mean nothing to me, so it just makes sense that he's not on the list. So
right, there's 14 SEC teams. There's 16 Big Ten teams. I can't remember how many Big 12 teams there are, but there's probably around 15. And there's that many ACC teams, let's say. So that's 30, 45. And then even if the ACC and Big 12 are both 15 teams, which I don't know that they are, then that right there is 60 teams. So if you take the starting running back from every Power 4 team and put him on the list just automatically, DeSean Bishop should be on the list. And that still leaves you 2 players that could be on the list. So you could go to, the second string on one or multiple of those teams. You could go, with some group of 5 running backs that are really good. But the fact that the next question I have, I'll go ahead and ask this to you, Jeff. Are there 62 running backs that are better than DeSean Bishop?
No. It's not even a question. You don't have to be orange colored glasses. The kid ran for 1,000 yards last year in the SEC. He's playing in a Josh Heupel offense. Running backs thrive there. If he blew out his knee before the list came out, I'd buy that. It's just insulting. It's the same as Braylon Staley being left off the All SEC list. It's just insulting. And I don't know what to do about it other than constantly say, well, you've got to use it for motivation. But the thing that stinks is he uses it for motivation. He has a Dylan Sampson-like year, right? Just statistically off the top, out of any realm of expectation. And he'll still get ignored.
Yeah.
Here again, and I'm really not beating up on him, but this is where I'd like to see some leadership from Danny White. I'd like to see Danny White out there just pitching a fit about this. I'd like to see somebody in our massive PR, sports management, juggernaut system. Figured out a way to do basically, like Bobby Knight throwing a chair on the field. On the court. I'd like to see somebody do that for DeSean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, the good news is DeSean seems like the type of guy, obviously with this background of being a walk-on, earning a spot on Tennessee's roster, and then being a starter, and getting significant carries even behind guys like Dylan Sampson, who you mentioned. DeSean Bishop is the type of guy I think that will use this to fuel his fire and will not that he needs more ammunition, but I hope that he takes it personally and that he plays even harder than he would have because of this. But it does seem like DeSean Bishop is the type of guy that will do that because of his story, because of his history. So I'm hopeful that this is only just added fuel to him. But
he shouldn't have to.
Right. Shouldn't have to. Exactly. Last bit of latest news here, and this is kind of getting specific to this season, specific to our first opponent. Jake Garcia is named the starter for Furman. Little background on Jake Garcia for those that don't know. He was a former starter at the University of Miami in the class of 2022 and 2023. He started like 7 or 8 games for Miami in 2023. And then he transferred to Missouri, where he didn't really play at all. Then he transferred to ECU, where he started for that whole season, which was 2025. And then, 2024. And then he transferred to Michigan and was on Michigan's roster last year and didn't play behind Bryce Underwood. Yeah. And so now he's ended up at Furman. So he's gone from, a Power 4 to another Power 4 to a Group of 5 to a Power 4. And then now he's back to Group of 5. And not even Group of 5, Furman's FCS. So this guy, all that to say, he has some, big time experience, you could say. Not that I think obviously this changes anything for the game. It's not going to move the line at all. But I did think it was interesting that you've got a guy who has experience at a higher level of play that's going to be starting for Furman in game 1.
Sounds like a great resume for being a coach someday, right? Like you've seen 15 schemes already, going to make a great grad assistant. It's yet again just a parable of how crazy college sports have become. Now I'm over here being like, I'm glad we could pick up a secondary player to replace the guy who goes down at the 11th hour. But good night. I almost feel bad for that kid having to do that. That just seems pitiful.
It's also just, I feel bad for the kid in one sense. There's also, I know it's a totally different situation and he probably had just a ton more potential, but you also see that there are examples like Ty Simpson, where if you just stick it out, you have an opportunity to come in and have a really good year, and then you can go to the NFL.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Jake Garcia is that kind of talent. I don't know much about him. I don't remember ever watching him play at any of these stops, but I just think that the system doesn't incentivize the Ty Simpsons. That's just the amount of self-discipline it takes to just stick at a place like Alabama and work hard and hope you get to play, where the system just incentivizes you to do this. It'd basically just be a mercenary for hire just so that you can play. And honestly, Jake Garcia is probably not as good as he would have been in the old system where he just had to stick it out and try to get better.
Right.
And I hate that for the players. It's no shade of Jake Garcia because this is a system they've created. And yeah, man, you're probably not going to play in the NFL. If Furman can give you, I don't know what his NIL package is, but if Furman can pay the guy $100K, man, that's amazing. So, I totally get it. It's just another, it's just a horrible thing about modern college football where this guy will be homeless, right? I mean, I guess Furman will be his home if he has a good year for Furman, they make a deep run in the FCS. But you guys know, as being Tennessee fans, there are guys that didn't play in the NFL that, or even had short stints that are still legends in the area and lots of other businesses because of just what they gave for the university. And as long as they're, good guys and they work hard, then they can make it in some other way. They have a home for forever.
Well, this is Jason Swain's story, right? He just got added to the broadcast team and he kind of fits that. Ron Slay, similar deal. Ron was pretty good, but was never going to be an NBA All-Star. If I can make it a little darker, Nick, because I know we need that energy. You don't know how many times this kid has been told for budget reasons you're going to need to move along.
Sure.
That's another factor here too. Maybe he's just chasing snaps.
Yeah.
But it's entirely possible that he's been told, like, you got to move along, man. We need your money.
Yeah. Yeah, and at Miami, like, he lost his job to Cam Ward, who then obviously gave way to their quarterback last year, the transfer from Georgia. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Carson Beck.
Thank you, Carson Beck. So, like, obviously it wouldn't have worked out at Miami. Michigan had Bryce Underwood. Like, they're not going to go away from him. So, to your point, I think that a guy like this, what I'm interested in is if we're going to see a shift to guys like this start going to FCS schools first. Like, to me, wouldn't it be better just to go play at an FCS or even, group of 5 FCS level for a couple years and, get some good stuff on tape, look really good, and then be able to transfer up? To me, that seems like a better path for a young athlete than going in. Okay, maybe you get more NIL up front going to a place like Miami, but if they've got other recruits that are higher than you, they value more than you, even if you're getting more money on the front end, it seems like for the longevity of your career and for the maximum earnings that you could get at the end, it seems like it'd be better to go to one of these smaller schools first, kind of, work your way up from that point. What do you guys think about that?
Well, it seems to me like if a program at that kind of top level, SEC, right, if they offer you and they tell you, like, we're going to give you a legitimate shot, it would be a rare 18-year-old who doesn't say, I'm going to bet on myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, to even get to this level as a high school player, you have to be really confident and really competitive, right? What you were saying that I thought was interesting there, Mac, is like the dynamic would be the kid who washes out at the big program early on, right? So then you drop down, just try to build, like that. I could see that more. Like, you drop down to FCS, try to dominate there, and start moving back up, right? Which, if everything goes the way we're thinking, would be the George McIntyre plan, right? So, like, would you tell George that, like, hey, you lost the job here, don't transfer to Mississippi State, don't transfer to, I don't know, just name it, Illinois,
South Carolina,
Illinois. You just drop down and go to Chattanooga, or you drop down and go to Eastern Carolina, somewhere in the region that you're from, and then let's see what you can do 3 years from now. That would be a really interesting experiment.
I think that I agree with everything you guys are saying. I heard someone actually make this argument on one of the Vols podcasts I listened to this week. I can't remember which one, maybe it was 247. One of the guys was basically making the argument you were making, Mac, which is like, wouldn't it be better? Or it may have even been that Joel Klatt roundtable you sent today, Mac. For those who don't know, Mac sent a podcast out from Big Noon podcast, and it was RG3 and Brady Quinn, and it was a good episode. And maybe it was them that was making this point. But like, I don't think he set out to intentionally do it this way, but this is the Joey Aguilar move, right? Like, he started at this very low, like, JUCO level, and then he worked his way up to like Division I, and then he came to a group of 4, and then he came to a Power 5 school. And Joey Aguilar was a pretty darn good quarterback last year for where he had come from, at the highest level in college football. So
Dalton Connect too.
Yeah. Like, I mean, and I don't know yet that what Kurt Signetti did is sustainable, but like, he won a national championship last year with a roster full of guys that had done that. So I think that the modern game is more and more going to value the guys that have gotten a lot of reps and just know how to play football, even if it wasn't at the highest level, versus guys that are super talented, but just but they haven't played a lot. So they don't have the reps. So they're just not as polished.
It's just the factor that a kid who is offered to play at elite program would choose the Joey Aguilar route. I just can't see that kind of self-awareness and brand or game or development management for a kid who's coming out of high school, particularly not when there might be bucks attached to it.
I totally agree. I think it's the ideal of what would be best for the kid versus, like, the real politic, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it. I think we will see more of the Joey Aguilars, like, doing well, or not even necessarily as Joey Aguilars, but like the guys that are transferring and doing well are still guys that have taken lots of reps at other places for the most part. Like Carson Beck wasn't a talent that sat on the bench for a long time and then went to Miami and blew up. Like everybody knew Carson Beck was a pretty good quarterback. Like he'd started at Georgia and he had lots of reps and lots of live bullets. And, flip that with Joe Milton, who wasn't near that good and who sat on the bench for a long time at two good programs at Michigan and Tennessee and was just not as good as Joe Milton would have been if he'd have played 4 years of college football, regardless of where he played it at, because he just didn't see enough live bullets.
Yeah.
So I just think
maybe that was the problem. Maybe it wasn't,
Yeah. Well, I think it's just, maybe I'm wrong, but like Jared Garantano was a lot better quarterback in the end than in the beginning. Right.
And I have no criticism of the paradigm. I was just thinking that maybe the individual example might have,
I think Joe Milton, had he played 4 years at Tennessee, we would have been very frustrated. And I think he would have been a lot better by the end than in the beginning, is all I'm saying. I just think the more you play, the better you get, as long as you're working hard and trying to do your best and trying to be a good teammate and all the things that we would assume you'd be doing. But to your point, Jeff, I don't think you'll see a lot of people with enough self-awareness to do that. I just think that in real time and in real life, what we're seeing is that playing out. Is just that, go figure, the more football you play, the better you are. And you're going to be better than the guy. Sometimes you're going to be better guys that are less. You're going to be better, even though you're less talented, because you've played more football than more talented guys that have just sat on the bench a lot of places trying to make it and get NIL money.
Yeah. Good discussion, boys. We'll move on to basketball. Some good latest news from basketball this week. Tennessee announces the first jersey patch across all their sports. They got a sponsor to go on the basketball jersey for men's and women's basketball, and that is Axel Logistics. Jeff, what are your thoughts on this partnership?
Curmudgeon. I hate the sponsors on the jersey. I know it's inevitable. I know they're going to be walking billboards at some point. This is the best version. It's a local company. The patch doesn't look bad for what it is. It's just another part of college football I hate.
Yeah. Nick?
Yeah, I mean, my sentiments are similar. It's inevitable. There probably aren't a lot of fans that like this, I can imagine, at any school. But if you are going to do this, and they are, I think it's best that it's like a local company, like even though Pilot is like this international company, it just makes sense that like if you're going to put a name on Neyland Stadium for the stadium to be preserved by, that it would be Pilot. It's like the biggest company in Knoxville and has been for forever, right? Based in Knoxville. Axel Logistics is not that old. It's a kind of a more new up and coming company. But it is based right in Knoxville. I work in Knoxville. Their building's right downtown. Like I know people work there. And so it makes sense. And it's, it's better than, was Georgia's doing like Progressive? Was that what I saw?
I can't believe that's real.
I do not want like the gecko on the Tennessee football jerseys. Right. So it's much better than something like that, even though they'll probably get more money from Progressive than we're getting from Axel Logistics. But I guess I will say this one small thing to Danny White's credit. He did say in that big interview with Brent Hubbs that like they would be strategic about their partnerships and it would have to be a good fit. And so for it to be a local company is the best version of a bad thing.
Yeah, and Axel Logistics.
Go ahead, Mac.
I was just going to say Axel Logistics not only just is headquartered in Knoxville, but it was started by University of Tennessee graduates.
Right.
So like it's not only just a Knoxville company, but it's like it's a byproduct of the education that the students received from the school.
So like Ruby Tuesday couldn't come through. Are there Ruby Tuesdays left?
Can we get a partnership where it's like, free all you can eat salad bar at Ruby Tuesdays for every touchdown that somebody scores?
Who needs a salad bar? Let's get Chili's. Let's get Chili's in here, and let's get some, all you can eat like chicken strips or something from there, because that would be sweet.
Chili's doesn't have a tie to the university, though, right?
It's just not tied to the university.
Yeah, but we love Chili's.
Yeah, well, I think that's why you don't see Ruby Tuesday around. You do see some Chili's.
Yeah.
I could do a chili pepper on the jersey. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I like Chili's food too. I mean, what is the millennials killed all the chain restaurants, but like I took my family to Chili's the other day because I legitimately like their food.
Yeah.
Chili's is great. Yeah.
Oh, me. And then baseball news. This is not the best news, unfortunately, but Blaine Brown has elbow surgery. He just had his surgery, and it will keep him from participating in fall practice, but he should be available for the season. But it sounds like they've already determined he's not going to be pitching because of this for this upcoming season. I don't know how much he would have pitched this upcoming season. Obviously, didn't throw as much as we had maybe thought he would last year. But this was some unfortunate news we got. Nick, what'd you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the end of the world, obviously, for the baseball program, but he'll just be behind everybody else, obviously, because he's not going to get to play fall ball. I have thought about this a little bit. Maybe a silver lining is that, like, you just take pitching off the table, and it just gives Blaine more space to just focus on the things that are most important he should be focusing on. Mm-hmm. Give him some more, like, laser focus on, getting the bat going and playing good defense, and like just don't worry about pitching. So if there can be a silver lining, maybe that's it. But it's not great news, not the end of the world, but hate it for him.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff, you have anything to add there?
Just hate it for the kid, man. Hate it for the kid. It's a rebuilding year in terms of like they've got to find a lot of solutions. And so I hate to be behind the eight ball being part
I think is what you mean.
What did I say?
Rebuilding. This is a reloading year.
Yeah, see, I just thought they had a lot of weird question marks last year that they need to get nailed down. And the recruiting class looks like they went and did a really good job grocery shopping. It's just so much that I think they've got some, maybe retooling. I'm not trying to be stubborn about this, but like that team had major flaws last year. They've got to sort some stuff out. Pretty important.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say.
I agree.
But I do think you made a good point, Nick. It feels like this is an opportunity for Blaine Brown to do the things that he was a little inconsistent on last year, like defense and hitting. Maybe he can just focus in on those more and do a better job. So,
yeah,
great year, man.
Maybe we could just hit the ball. I don't know. That's not just Blaine. That's not just
got to get better. Other
that's
than
not just Blaine Brown.
Straight A's, except for defense and hitting.
The defense and the hitting. I mean, as far as the team goes, the pitching could be better.
Yeah.
So if we could just pitch, hit, and field better, I think we'll have a better team this year. So
if we score more runs than the other team, guys, we're going to have
We're going to win a lot of games. We're going to win a lot of games. We score more runs than the other team. We're going to win a lot of games. Yep.
Yeah. In the words of Trent Dilfer, you can't lose games in this league and expect to still win. You know what I mean?
Correct. I mean, have truer words ever been spoken about sports?
Don't think so. All right. I added this in last minute, boys, so this is completely off the cuff. This is the Tennessee confidence meter. So we're gonna run through this tonight. I thought it was interesting. Something I thought of kind of last minute.
This feels cruel, by the way.
So there are no right or wrong answers. I just want to know, how confident are you in each position group? So you're going to give me a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not confident at all, 10 being, I would put my child's life on it. So let's start with the obvious.
Can we give you halves?
Sure. I'd love it.
Okay.
I prefer it that way. So no right or wrong answers. Scale of 1 to 10. The quarterbacks, how confident are you? Jeff, kick us off.
5.5.
Nicholas?
6.5.
Wow. I'm gonna go 4 on this one. I'm not super confident in the quarterbacks just because there's a lot of uncertainty. I feel like this is one of our weaker position groups, given the fact that we have a young guy no matter what starting. So I'll go 4 on this, but that's probably an average of like 6, probably 5.5, something like that. So, all right. How about running backs? How confident are you on running backs? Nick?
9.
Jeff?
I'm probably an 8.
I feel like I'm. Yeah, go ahead.
I really am super confident in DeSean. He's not been impervious to injury. I'm really excited about Gordon. I just don't know him, so I can't be over the moon.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying, Javen Gordon looks better than like Star Thomas did at this point, and Star Thomas had a serviceable year backing up DeSean last year.
They basically say he looks like DeSean in the sense of like his build and the way he plays and runs. So
Right.
And then Morris apparently housed a 97-yard touchdown in the scrimmage because he's incredibly fast, and they're talking about using him out of the backfield.
I think I'm more
good.
like Nick on this one. I think I would go like a 9.5 on this. I'm pretty confident when it comes to the running backs. So I feel like this is your best position group across the board.
Really?
If not them, yeah, I think it's one of them. Yeah.
Over linebacker?
Well, we haven't got there yet.
Oh, well, I mean, but you didn't qualify with the ones we've covered. You just said this is our best.
That's true. You
position.
said across the board.
But across the board. I think this is like a top 2, top 3 position group on.
I think there. So I'll throw in. I think there are probably 2 position groups I'm more confident in.
Okay, well we'll get there, and I'm excited to hear about that. The next one is wide receivers. Nick, Jeff, what do you think about this one?
That's a 9. I would go slightly over the running backs because I've seen more from the wide receivers than I have from anybody other than DeSean. I'm real confident in their wide receivers.
Mm-hmm. Nick?
Yeah, I'm actually not as confident here. I'm going to go with an 8. I feel real good about Braylon Staley. I mean, Mike Matthews should be better, but he dropped up too many balls last year still for me. Mm-hmm. And we're not settled on who number 3 is going to be yet. I think they're going to be rotating more guys than they have the last few years. So I feel good about it. Like, I'm obviously an 8 is good. I don't think the sky's falling, but just don't feel quite as confident as Jeff does. So
I agree with Jeff, but I'm putting this one a half point lower than the running backs. I would also give the wide receivers a 9 for exactly the points that you said, Nick. There's just still a couple question marks that I think will quickly be resolved. I hope will quickly be resolved, and that's just in catching the ball. And then obviously wide receivers is hard in a way that running backs isn't because they're totally dependent upon the quarterback. And so that's what gives me a little bit more pause on the receivers than running backs. But still, I'm at a 9, so very confident in the running backs.
Well, let me ask you that, like with that dependent thing. So, like,
yeah,
I'm not factoring that in. I am still thinking about this kind of NCAA football. Like, what's the average of the starter and their ratings, you know?
Yes.
So, like, with if we had a bad offensive line, I would still be very confident in the running backs. I would not be confident in the offensive line opening it up for them. But like, if our passing game is ineffective this year, I'm not going to think our wide receivers let us down. Or at least I'm not going to anticipate that. So I'm not I'm not thinking of them as like symbiotic, you know.
Yeah, and I'm not either. I'm trying to grade them within themselves, but also with acknowledging that like someone has to throw them a ball in the way that the running backs don't have to have that. And so I just, I'm confident in them no matter what, but because they are dependent upon the quarterback in a way that running backs aren't, I would say that just affects my grade a little bit, but not a lot, but a little bit. So the next one would be offensive line. How confident are you in the offensive line, Nick?
I'm probably at a 7.5 here.
Jeff?
Same. That's perfect.
Yeah, I feel like that's really good. I might go 8 on the offensive line, but I feel like 7.5 is really good. So I feel like I'm going to align with you guys there on that one. The offensive line should be really good. They should be really good, but there's still a little bit of question marks on just the consistency from, guys running the offense. And so I would like to see them improve and have a little bit better year. But I do feel confident in the offensive line. Let's flip over to defense. We'll go to defensive line.
Wait.
Sorry.
No tight ends?
Oh, let's go tight ends. Sorry, I didn't have it on my list. I just skipped over that. It's my fault.
How could you do that, dude? Scale of 1 to 10, tight ends?
Yep.
15.9 because Ethan Davis, baby. He's going to blow up this year.
There you go. I love it.
So he's got to get on the field first. We'd like to see him actually practice.
Why would you think that's a question mark, Nick? What?
Tight ends. Okay, what's your actual score?
You really want me to say?
Yes, this is the bit.
Straight up 5. I don't feel like I know anything. I know that I'm going to get a load of hype every year, and I don't know if I'm going to get production or not. So 5.
I'm also at a 5. Because I feel like it could go either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I think they're talented. DeSean Bishop apparently had a bad scrimmage. He got the ball popped out. Had a pretty bad drop. They're talking about Luka Wolf, and I'm like, anytime you start talking about the freshman tight end, I'm not necessarily think it's because he's amazing, but maybe because you're like the guys in front of him aren't, wowing you. And Ethan Davis hasn't played yet. I think Ethan Davis has a lot of talent. I'm not as down on him as Jeff is, but I just think there's so much unknown that if we're just talking about my confidence in the position group, I'm definitely at a 5 because I think it's just 50-50.
I'll go 5.5. I feel like it's more likely than not that they do meet the expectations, but I do think there's plenty of room for failure there. So I'll just go a little bit more optimistic. You guys go 5.5. So
that's fair. I think it's a fair score.
Thanks. All right, now we'll flip over to defensive. I have your permission, Jeff. All right, defensive line, Jeff. Who you got? What's your confidence level on defensive line?
4.5, and that half is Rodney Gardner. I just kind of am hoping that he figures something out. But I think this could be really bad.
Yeah, I'm similar, but I'm basically where I'm at with the tight end, so I'm going to go with an even 5.
Yeah, I feel like both of those are good. I would probably, I don't know, man. I feel like the defensive line obviously is the most uncertain group probably that we have, but then again, you already said it, Jeff. But it's just like it feels like Rodney Gardner just always able to get enough out of the guys to be serviceable, and so I just feel like the defensive line is going to be okay. But I don't think they're going to be good by any means. But if they can just get some pressure on the quarterback, and stop the run, which is a huge ask, but if they can just mitigate offenses and just keep them honest and not just gash us in the run and not have no pressure at all, I think we'll be okay. But yeah, I feel like a 5.5 is probably about right for the defensive line. So I think I'd go 5 just with you guys. So I know Jeff's at 4.5, but. All right, moving on to linebackers. Nick, where are you at the linebackers on your confidence level?
Yeah, I feel great about the linebackers. I actually think if we're getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, it's probably because of linebackers.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with an 8.5 on them. I think they're deep, even with Arion sitting out the first 2 games. Like it just seems like there's probably 5 or 6 guys there that can give you meaningful snaps. So.
Jeff?
Yeah, this is the other group that I thought was probably even stronger than the running backs. So who was the kid who went down? The linebacker who got hurt?
Is that Jadis?
Jaden Harmon?
Yeah, that's notable to me. And if you combine that with Arion being out for 2 games, that's like more significant as a combination. I am like Nick. I think if we get a pass rush this year, it's going to be – I still think – I don't know why Thielander isn't in that because he just seems like a really natural pass rusher to me when I watch him. But apparently Arion's going to rush. I think that really – I know the safeties are super important, but the way it's shaken out in the fall, not only is this our best unit, but we need them to be the best unit for the entire year.
Yeah. I'm very confident in the personnel here. I'm just not as confident in the system as a whole, just because it's new. And so I feel like I'm probably more like an 8.5 on the linebackers, which is a little bit lower than I had the running backs. But I just feel like the running backs have more continuity between the talent you're returning and then the system they're running versus the linebackers, the talent they're returning versus the system they're running. And so I like the linebackers a lot, but I do think there's some question marks in terms of how effective will they be in a new system. I'm not super concerned about it. Obviously, it's an 8, but but I do think there's some questions need to be answered. And of course, Arion sitting out 2 games isn't nothing. I'm not worried about it. So. All right, moving on to defensive backs. This is just all the secondary. Jeff, where are you at the defensive backs?
After Farooq went down, I'm probably downgrading that to like a 7. I could probably be talked into a 6.5 because there's so much new stuff all over the field. And I think the talent's pretty good talent collection. I just don't know what we have in terms of on-field production in this system.
Yeah. Nick?
Total cosign. Guy read my mind, spoke it out loud. I'm giving him a 7 for all the same reasons. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like 7 is right. I mean, you could maybe go 7.5, but when Farooq goes down, I think that does hurt him. So I think I would fall about a 7 as well. All right, last one here is coaching. Just all the coaching, head coaching, coaching staff, coordinators, everybody. Where are you at on the coaching? Where's your confidence level, Nick?
Yeah, when Heupel and his staff have been good, they've been incredibly good. When they've been bad, they've been pretty bad. I think they've been good a lot more than they've been bad. I'm very thankful for Josh Heupel and his staffs compared to where we came from. And so I'm probably at a 7 on this.
I mean, it's not a big difference. I was 6.5, 6.5, or 7. So 6.5, 7. It just tells you that, like, we are in a better place than we have been, but none of us are willing to bet our lives on Heupel making the right call in a crucial game.
Yeah.
Wish we could say more this deep into his tenure, but here we are.
Yep. I agree. I feel like 6 or 7 is right, kind of in the sweet spot for the coaching staff. I feel like in a couple of years you could easily say, oh yeah, this coaching staff's a 9, depending on how the next couple of years play out. But as it stands right now, you also in a couple of years could be like, well, Tennessee is looking for a new coach. So it's just so volatile right now that I don't even know anywhere to go other than kind of upper middle. I'm pretty confident, but yeah, I think 7 is about right for this coaching staff. All right, well, that was confidence meter on Tennessee position groups. We'll move on to questions on college football. This is our next segment for tonight. The question is, which Big Ten team are you picking to win the conference? Jeff, I'll let you kick it off here.
Man, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to yield to y'all on that because I care so little about that conference. I just think that it's a coast league. Like, they don't, the elite teams beat up on the rest of the trash conference, and then they cruise into whatever playoff sort of fresh and unbeaten up the way the SEC is. So, like, okay, Ohio State or whatever. I don't have an opinion. Y'all tell me. You inform me about what the answer should be.
Nick?
Yes, I think the easy money here, based on the way everyone talks, is Ohio State, Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Smith. I actually like Dan Lanning a lot. I think he's a great coach. I think Dante Moore is probably the best quarterback in the country. I think that Dan Lanning's finally going to break through here. So I'm going to go with Oregon.
Yeah, Ohio State or Oregon is what I'm between. Obviously, Indiana is another good pick for this. I mean, who knows how good they'll be. A couple other teams that have a puncher's chance would be like USC and Michigan. It just all depends on what their season looks like. Gun to my head, I feel like I like Oregon to beat Ohio State in the regular season, but Ohio State to win the Big Ten. I feel like they're going to split those 2 games. So whoever wins the regular season will lose the Big Ten championship game. So I could see that kind of as a coin flip either way. I agree with Nick that I like Dan Lanning more. I like Dante more than I like Julian Sayin. So I think I would go with Oregon on this. But to be different, I'll take Ohio State. So,
hey, serious question, and it's okay. I'm not trying to lead y'all on this. I like catching Oregon when they're on TV. Like that's when I'll sit down and watch. But are there other teams in that conference that you enjoy watching? I mean, Indiana was fun last year because of the Cinderella thing. I just don't enjoy much from that conference. When I watch them, I'm like, I'm kind of bored.
I like watching the more traditional blue bloods when they're on. Like if Penn State's on, I'll watch Penn State. If there's not I almost always will watch any SEC game over those games unless it's two. Like if Ohio State and Oregon are playing, I wouldn't watch like Missouri and South Carolina. But like, but if it was like Ohio State and Minnesota, then like I'll just watch the SEC game, even if it's bad. But assuming there's not an SEC game on, or that 2 of the big teams, two big name Big Ten teams are playing, at that point, like I guess if I'm triaging this, then like I would watch like Penn State and Minnesota play. But I'm probably not going to turn on like Iowa and Northwestern. And watch.
See, Penn State and Minnesota. Like I'm desperately what's the Texas Tech conference?
Big 12.
The Big 12.
I'm desperately looking for like a Big 12 game, or even in the years when Boise State is feisty. Like there's just so much garbage and filler in that conference. I just don't think that there's a lot of games that compel my attention. Anyway, y'all don't have to agree with me. I was just sounding you out.
Yeah, you're a little more down in the Big Ten than I am. So you talk about like the middle of the road Big Ten teams being so bad, and like historically, I would agree with you. But man, the evidence I've had from the last handful of seasons, basically since the NIL, like the Big Ten seems to beat the SEC in every time they play. Like a middle of the road Big Ten team beats a middle of the road SEC team. So I. I'm sympathetic to your point of view, Jeff, but it's hard for me to quantify that when the Big Ten comes away winning all the games. And so
Well,
I actually,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
no, you're good. I was just gonna say, so I actually like, I'm starting to be a little bit more open minded, I guess, when it comes to saying like, yeah, the Big Ten plays a garbage schedule because it's like, I don't know how to quantify that because it seems like, I mean, Illinois beat the brakes off Tennessee last year, so it's like, is Illinois really that bad, or is it just because the Big Ten is so good at the top that they make those teams look that bad?
See, that what I would say to that is I'm very happy to yield that they are the most successful conference now. Like I just think that they are. They are. We just have to say they're the most successful. But I don't think it's because their best teams make their mid teams, which are pretty good, look bad. I think that league has a whole bunch of cupcakes that allow their elites to kind of coast in a way the SEC doesn't. I think that was true even before the NIL, where you ran into a fresh Ohio State or Michigan who kind of cruised through. You've been beat up all year long with better teams who are going to have worse records, and you're just more meat grindered. And so that's my theory on that.
I think that's traditionally been true, but kind of like what Mac's saying, I think the thing that's different is that in those years where you have the fresh Ohio State, you also have SEC teams beating up on all the other Big Ten teams in bowl games and stuff like that. And
Right.
that's the thing that seems to have changed.
Yep,
in the
agreed.
last few years.
There is an aesthetics element too. I just don't like the brand of football too much. But anyway, doesn't matter. It's good to hear y'all's thoughts. I'm sure I'm off the reservation on this one. It's just not my cup of tea.
No. And to what Nick was saying, like obviously, like we can't ignore the fact that the reason why I tend to watch more middle of the road SEC matchups versus middle of the road Big Ten matchups is because it usually directly affects Tennessee in some way. So I'm wanting to watch the SEC because I know Tennessee has them on their schedule. If Tennessee was playing Minnesota this year, like Mississippi State, I think is playing Minnesota, I would be probably watching Minnesota play some because I know Tennessee's going to play them. So I think that's part of it, just the reality of like I end up watching more middle of the road SEC games because it affects Tennessee in a way that the middle of the road Big Ten games don't.
Yeah, and with the SEC, like it's also just I think the culture of the South around those games that I like more, even with the lower level teams and the mid level teams. And it's just really easy for me to get into those games and hate watch against people. So
yeah,
it's really easy for me to just hate watch against Vanderbilt and Kentucky, even when they like Kentucky could win no games this year, and I just still every week would hate watching them and laugh. So
absolutely.
And if Minnesota's not winning any games, I just don't care. So
yeah, I feel you. All right, we're going to jump into the Gauntlet, boys, tonight. We only have one team because next week we're going to do our full preview of Tennessee. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to put that on our listeners' radar. Next week we're going to be covering all of Tennessee's schedule. We'll go in depth on each game and kind of talk about that, talk about the matchups, predict wins and losses, and we're going to have a special guest do that with us next week. So make sure you tune in for that. But tonight we have the Vanderbilt Commodores going through the Gauntlet. Their over and under win total is at 5.5. So unless you guys have any comments before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and read their schedule.
I'm ready.
All right. So Vanderbilt plays Austin Peay, Delaware, NC State, Auburn, Georgia, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Alabama, Florida, and Tennessee. Again, the over and under here is 5.5, guys. So we'll start with Austin Peay. Wins across the board for Vanderbilt?
Yes, but I will be pulling for Austin Peay.
Good note. All right, the next week, Vanderbilt hosts Delaware. Who you got in this one? Wins across the board? Yeah?
Vanderbilt, but I will be pulling for Delaware.
Fighting Joe Flacco's, right?
Yes. Can anyone, for bonus points, name their mascot?
No chance.
The Fighting Hens.
The Blue Hens. You're very
Blue
close.
Hens. Let's go.
Yes, the Blue Hens is the Delaware Blue Hens. All right. The following week, this is week 3. Vanderbilt hosts NC State. NC State. Jeff, why don't you kick us off?
I don't know much about NC State, but they strike me. That's Dan Doring still there, right?
Dave Doring, yeah.
I mean, Dave, yeah. That seems like a team that could beat Vanderbilt. I'm going to go Vanderbilt because narratively, I bet they're, to make me most miserable, their freshman quarterback's going to be a stud. So I'm going to go with Vanderbilt.
Nick, what do you got in this one?
I will take Vanderbilt, but I will be pulling for North Carolina State.
I'm also taking Vanderbilt. Yeah, I'm also taking Vanderbilt in this one. So that's 3-0 across the board here for the Commodores. The week after that, this is week 4. Last week in September, Vanderbilt travels to Jordan-Hare Stadium to play the Auburn Tigers. Nick, who you got in this one?
No way Vanderbilt can beat Alex Golesh and Jordan-Hare. Auburn.
Jeff?
Auburn.
I'm also taking Auburn. So that's losses across the board for Vanderbilt. All right. The following week, Vanderbilt travels to Georgia. Jeff, who you got in this one?
Let me think. Georgia gonna wax that hiney.
Nick?
Yes. Vandy should take coffins with them to Athens. So they can get everybody. No one left behind.
I'm also taking Vanderbilt on the loss there. So that is 3-2 across the board here for Vanderbilt heading into week 6, I believe, which is they will host Ole Miss in Nashville. Nick, who you got in this one?
They couldn't beat Ole Miss on Mars. So
Jeff?
Bulldogs. No, Ole Miss.
He wants it so bad. Just give it a few more weeks. It's coming.
Exactly.
All right.
Anybody from Mississippi over Vanderbilt?
I'm taking Trinidad Chambliss in this one. That is, all of us are aligned totally so far. So we have a 3-3 record for Vanderbilt heading into Vanderbilt hosting Arkansas. Arkansas at home for Vanderbilt. Nick, who you got in this one?
Yeah, I think Arkansas probably won't be very good this year. I think those teams will probably be pretty even. It's in Nashville. I'll take Vanderbilt. But I will be pulling for Arkansas.
It is in – I missed that. I thought you said it was in Arkansas. I was going to take home
It's
field.
in Nashville.
Yeah, it probably is Vanderbilt then, dadgummit.
Yeah. I'm not super confident in this. Obviously, this is probably 2 of the worst teams in the SEC playing each other. I'm gonna take Vanderbilt to win, I guess. I took Arkansas to win on the other side, so I'll hedge myself here. I'll take Arkansas. So is that all of us on Arkansas? Or no, you guys took Vanderbilt at home?
We took Vandy.
Okay.
And, it is one of those deals where, I think Arkansas's home field would give them an advantage, but I'm not sure Vanderbilt's does.
Sure.
I feel like I'm defaulting to, an arbitrary principle because I'm not sure there's a huge advantage to be in Commodore Stadium.
Yeah. All right. The following week, Vanderbilt travels to Kentucky. Who you got in this one? Jeff, go ahead.
Do we have to know about this game? It's at Kentucky.
It's at Kentucky.
I guess give me Kentucky. I'll be watching Minnesota that week in that time slot.
Jeff or Nick, sorry.
I continue to maintain that Kentucky will be horrible. Trash program. Commodores win at Kroger Field. That is not a hard place to play.
Agreed. I will take Vanderbilt as well on the win here with Nicholas. So I'm going to go Vandy gets a win in Kroger Field. All right, they have a bye week for Halloween, and then in the first week of November, Vanderbilt travels to Mississippi State. Nick, who you got in this one?
Hail State.
Jeff, do I even need to ask?
Give me the Rebels. I mean, the Bulldogs.
I'm also going to ride with you guys and ride with Mississippi State on this one. So that is losses times 3 for the Commodores. All right, the following week, Vanderbilt hosts Alabama Alabama at home for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Jeff, who you got?
I'm going to take Alabama, although I don't think they're going to be quite that great this year. They're going to be better than Vanderbilt.
Alabama. Greenbow, Alabama.
I'm also taking the Tide. All right, the following week, Vanderbilt travels to Gainesville to play Florida. Let's go Nick. Nick, who you got in this one?
Good grief. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Vanderbilt can beat Florida in the swamp. So,
yeah. Jeff?
Yeah, I have to agree. It's like a home field win before you ever snap the ball. Yeah. But, I mean, is there a chance Vanderbilt's more talented?
Not more talented.
I don't think so. No, I don't think that there's a chance.
I mean, there's a chance they're better coached.
Yeah, I think that's maybe even likely, but I don't know, man. Vanderbilt's kind of been on the come up. They got all that they got all that Clay Travis money now.
Yeah, I guess that's true. All right. The last week of the season, Vanderbilt travels to their own stadium to play Tennessee in Nashville. Jeff, why don't you kick us off here? Who you got, Vanderbilt or Tennessee?
It's Tennessee, and it's also possible that I'm in hell.
Nick?
Vols by 50. Revenge game, not close.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Vols are going to take care of business in this one. All right, so our final records here. Nick, you have Vanderbilt winning 5 games. That is a 5-7 record. Jeff, you have Vanderbilt winning 4 games. That is a 4-8 record. Mac has Vanderbilt winning 4 games as well, so 4-8. So Nick is the highest on Vanderbilt, winning 5.
I hate myself.
Big Vandy fan right there, y'all.
Big Vandy fan.
I hate myself.
And me and Jeff are well on the under with a 4-8 Vanderbilt
still
record.
On the under, to be clear.
To be clear, he's still on the under, just barely though. He really wanted to get him on the over.
All right. Didn't.
All right. So 4-8, 5-7. You guys happy with those picks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same. I feel like that's the sweet spot. If Vanderbilt beats both Arkansas and Kentucky, then that's the only path they have to win. That's the only path they have to win 5 games, is if they beat Arkansas and Kentucky, which I don't know they will. Obviously, the next gettable game for them is as much as I hate to say it for you, Jeff, is probably Mississippi State, but that game is on the road, so that's where I think they run into some trouble.
Ain't scared.
They get Mississippi State off a bye though, so I think it really, obviously, it's just how good is their quarterback as a freshman. That's the question.
Isn't that the question for all of us?
It is the question for all of us. So, all righty. Moving into the last segment of the night, which is Rocky Top Roots. Nick, what are we talking about tonight?
All right, boys. As I have already told you guys offline and forecasted for the listener, I am, if the listener didn't hear earlier, very excited about the home and home jerseys that Alabama and Tennessee will be playing in for at least the next 2 years. And so I totally changed our Rocky Top Roots to the third Saturday in October. We are talking about the third Saturday in October and the history of this rivalry. And we are doing this specifically because of the renewal of the home and home jerseys for the next 2 years. The Alabama-Tennessee rivalry, known as the third Saturday in October, is one of college football's oldest and most intense series. It dates to 1901. So, every listener, just put that in your mind. Think about the fact that it's 2026, and the first time the Vols and the Tide played was in 1901, and it has been played almost annually since 1928. So, almost annually for basically 100 years, and it has long been a cornerstone of the Southeastern Conference. Not the oldest rivalry in the SEC. Anyone want to tell us what the oldest rivalry in the SEC is?
Georgia and Auburn.
That is correct. Georgia and Auburn, oldest one. The first meeting between Tennessee and Alabama occurred on November 28th, 1901 in Birmingham, Alabama. It ended in a 6-6 tie. So how things have changed. The game was halted due to darkness after a controversial call sparked a crowd disturbance on the field. So we just got off on the right foot, just right off the bat between Tennessee and Alabama. Alabama dominated the series early, winning most games from 1903 to 1913. Unfortunately, often by a shutout. The Tide outscored the Volunteers 112-0 in a stretch of 7 wins during this stretch, and did not allow, of course, any touchdowns. No points by the Vols during this period. The games were primarily played in Birmingham, with the home and home series beginning in 1909. That includes some games in Tuscaloosa, some in Knoxville, of course. But this game has been often played in Birmingham.
Legion Field.
At Legion Field, yep. The series paused from 1914 until 1928. The rivalry is renewed in 1928. The modern rivalry begins in 28 under Alabama coach Wallace Wade and Tennessee's own General Robert Neyland, who arrived in Knoxville in 1926. On October 20th, 1928, the third Saturday in October, Tennessee upset heavily favored Alabama 15-13 in Tuscaloosa. Gene McEver returned the opening kickoff for the Vols 98 yards for a touchdown. And Neyland had reportedly actually suggested shortening the second half if Alabama ran away with it, but Tennessee actually won the game. And the victory helped establish Tennessee as a Southern power and launched annual meetings on or sometimes near that date. It's not actually always been on the third Saturday in October. The series continued every year except for 1943. There was something going on in Europe and East Asia in 1943 that kept people from playing college football. But the nickname, the third Saturday in October, was formally attached around 1939. Tennessee won 21-0 that year. Both schools were founding members of the SEC, formed in December 1932 in Knoxville, when 13 Southern Conference schools, including Alabama and Tennessee, split off for geographic and practical reasons. Neyland's Tennessee squads challenged Alabama for Southern Conference and then SEC Conference supremacy in the 30s through the 50s. Neyland went 12-5-2, as you could tie, against Alabama across his tenure. 10 years, because he had some breaks there. Key early moments included Alabama's 1934 and 35 wins, the latter featuring Paul Bear Bryant playing with a broken leg as an end, and Tennessee's strong 1950s run in which they went 7-1-2 in the decade, including a national title. Games rotated, as Mac said, among Birmingham at Legion Field, which was Alabama's longtime primary home site, Knoxville, and then less frequently early on in Tuscaloosa. Both programs produced national titles and conference champions in this era, elevating the SEC's national profile. Bear Bryant era dominance and peak intensity from 58 to 82. Bear Bryant's return to Alabama in 1958 intensified the rivalry, of course. Bryant's Tide went 16-7-2 against Tennessee. So Neyland's run and Bear Bryant's runs kind of established the early back and forth. This rivalry has been one of long streaks back and forth, even when the games have been close year in and year out. Notable games include the 1966 thriller in which Alabama won 11-10 in Knoxville, which preserved a national title shot for them. And then Tennessee snapping an 11-game skid, which we talked about in a previous episode, to the Tide in 1982 with a 35-28 win in Knoxville. And that was the Bears' final game in Neyland Stadium, and it was marked by fans rushing the field. The victory cigar tradition also began during this period. This one's a little painful, but Alabama trainer Jim Goosetree, a Tennessee alum who worked for Coach Bryant, started this tradition in 1961 after a 34-3 Tide win ended a multi-year drought. He handed out cigars and legendarily danced naked in the locker room after a bet after this win. And this tradition of smoking cigars remained largely private due to NCAA rules on tobacco and extra benefits until it was publicly revived later on. The winners now, as publicly and commonly know, the winner of this game self-reports a secondary violation after every game because whoever wins will necessarily all be smoking cigars. To preserve the custom, they just go ahead and self-report it. and both sides observe it with their fans. Getting into a bit more of the modern era, the 1980s to the 1990s featured more balance, more drama. Alabama's 1989 shootout win, 47-30. Tennessee's late 80s, early 90s success under Johnny Majors and Philip Fulmer, and the Vols' 7-game streak from 95 to 2001. When the SEC split into East and West divisions in 1992, Alabama and Tennessee was famously preserved as a permanent cross-division rivalry, which was one of several series that were protected through that program, ensuring that it continued annually even as the traditional third Saturday date became less rigid due to scheduling. It's become more rigid in recent years. From 2000 to 2025, it fell on the exact date only about 13 times. Nick Saban's Alabama era produced the series' longest streak of 15 wins from 2007 to 2021, which Tennessee ended in dramatic fashion in 2022 with a 52-49 thriller in Knoxville, which is still the highest scoring game in series history. Recent results have been closer and more competitive. Tennessee has won in Knoxville in 2022 and 2024, Alabama at home in 2023 and 2025. As of the 2025 meeting, Alabama leads the all-time series approximately 60-40 to 8. The records, if you look them up, will differ slightly due to who is acknowledging forfeitures. In 93, a tie that was vacated, and then in 2005, forfeiture from Alabama under NCAA allegations. But regardless of the semantics of that record, Tennessee has more wins over Alabama than any other program. Likewise, Alabama has more wins over Tennessee than any other program. Alabama and Tennessee were among the powerhouse programs that defined Southern football before and after the SEC's 1932 founding. Their consistent high-level competition in the Southern Conference and then the SEC raised the conference's competitive standard and the national visibility of Southern football. Tennessee and Alabama claimed the first 4 national championships that were won by SEC football programs. And of the 43 claimed national titles by SEC schools in football, Tennessee and Alabama have combined for 20 of the 43. Alabama is first, of course, with 14, and Tennessee is second with 6, and no one else in the SEC has more than 4. Before the legendary 6-title run of Nick Saban, the count was Bama 8, Tennessee 6. So while Bama has the heavy advantage in the modern era, I believe it's very safe to say that the third Saturday in October built Southern football, and it built the Southeastern Conference. And Tennessee has finally once again made this rivalry a bit more of what it should look like in the last few years. The third Saturday in October helped cement the SEC's reputation for intense, high-stakes rivalries. It contributed to early television exposure. The 1951 game was among the first televised SEC contests, and it reinforced the league's commercial and cultural dominance in the South. Streaks, classic games, shared traditions like the cigars, the calendar nickname, the newly renewed home and home jersey tradition has made it a reliable marquee attraction that has elevated the brand of both programs in the early years and helped sustain it and the conference as a whole. In short, the rivalry embodies the regional pride and competitiveness that turned the SEC into college football's premier league. Even the colors of crimson and orange, as Max said earlier, reflect the look of the South in October, and the traditions have been shared by Tennessee and Alabama natives for over a century. And everyone who knows ball knows the importance of this game. And so we're going to end with some quotes from players and coaches and even some fans. General Robert Neyland said, "You never know what a football player is made of until he plays against Alabama." Paul Bear Bryant said, "People think I'm the greatest dang coach in the world, but Neyland taught me everything I know." Nick Saban, 2 different quotes here I smashed together. The first, "This is a big rivalry. The third Saturday in October is like a holiday in those 2 states." On College Game Day in 2024, he said, "For our players, this was a bigger rivalry than any other game we played, even bigger than Auburn to our players. It was always difficult for me to get our players up for the Auburn game. It was never difficult for Tennessee." Roman Harper, former Alabama safety, said, "We dislike Auburn. We hate Tennessee. It's Tennessee hate week. We don't even talk about it. The word hate comes up when you talk about Tennessee." In 2022, Hendon Hooker says, anyone who tells you that that's just another team, talking about Alabama, says they're lying. Johnny Majors, after a close win in the mid-'80s, said, I don't know how the Alabama-Tennessee series can get any more exciting. Nothing is sweeter than to have a team come from behind and to beat Alabama. John Ward's call of play number 1, Peyton Manning to Joey Kent, 80-yard touchdown on the first play of the 1995 Tennessee-Alabama game at Legion Field, which, of course, I would never do justice. I'd love to just play the clip, but I'm a boomer and I don't know how to do that. So the call said, this will be Manning back to throw across the middle. Pass complete, pulled down at the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. What did he do? All he did was score. Joey Kent, touchdown on play number 1. Joey Kent, Peyton Manning, Joey Kent from Huntsville, Alabama, and he races downfield to score, untouched, turning on the speed. But I don't think anyone says it better than a fella from Northeast Tennessee who called into the Tony Basilio show just before the third Saturday in October in 2022, just the day before Tennessee broke the 15-game streak during the Saban era. This guy's name on the radio show is famously Big Josh. He calls into the Tony Basilio show, and he says this, and there's a lot of blue language in here, but I will use lesser language for the bywords, but the listener will probably know what I mean. He said, we're foaming at the mouth up here in Northeast Tennessee. A bunch of dang crazy Scotch-Irish dang just hillbillies are foaming at the mouth. And all us old school guys, this is the way it should be right here. A lot of these young kids, they don't know. This is 2 teams that built Southern football right here. First Saturday in October built the dang SEC. And we've had a bunch of dang clowns over here, the Hamiltons and the Harts and the dang Haslams and all these private jet coaches we've hired. Your dang birthright's been stolen from you. This Saturday, you're going to get a chance to see what it is that we've been growing up. This dang game means something. And them old Alabama fans know it. There's a dang electricity in the air up here in these mountains, Tony. I don't know. It feels dang good. They got me so fired up, I just can't hardly be around nobody no more. That's all I want to talk about. I'm a basket case. It's fun as heck, and I'm just appreciative of it. It's different than it was last time. I'm a little older, and I'm a little more grateful, and I'm thankful to whoever made this happen. But I'm going to have a good time, and I'm going to enjoy it while it's here, because you better dang cherish it, because it don't take long for some dang idiot to mess it all up. I'm just as excited as heck, Tony. I don't know how to put it. Tony, this game here, I grew up in the 80s. You know, Johnny Majors has always been my dang hero, but my favorite player to ever play is number 54, Dale Jones. Nobody played with more heart than Dale Jones, and the reason I love Dale Jones was because he gave it all when we played Alabama. And them kids out there Saturday, they have a chance to leave the same impression on a bunch of young kids watching where they'll never forget them. If they lay it on the line Saturday and make a memory for those kids, they just don't realize how much it means to people. Alabama and Tennessee built the dang SEC. That's what it is. The third Saturday in October and everything's on the line. It's what it's supposed to be. It's our dang birthright as Tennesseans, as Tennessee fans, and I'm just happy we got it back. Anyway, go Big Orange. Love you, boys. See ya. In response, Tony Basilio plays this clip for Dale Jones, who was, I don't know if he still is at the time, a couple years ago, he was a coach at Appalachian State, but he played linebacker for Tennessee, and Basilio plays this clip for Dale Jones, and Dale Jones responds. Basilio asked him what he thought about that, and Dale Jones says, it makes me feel good. At least somebody remembers me. You know, I really don't know what to say. I'd just say everything he said is true. I mean, especially if you grow up in Tennessee. There's never been anything that's more exciting and that you'd ever want would be to go kick some tail. And he choked up and he said, it's Alabama. He said, I've felt it since the start of the season, to be honest with you. I said it before the season started that they'd end up beating Alabama or Georgia. I truly believe that. There's some magic back in Tennessee, and I'm just proud of those guys and those coaches. And Basilio said, this is what makes college football so special. Nobody crying over NFL games. And Dale Jones says, that's true, but you know, it's your life. Everything about Tennessee when you're young, you're always wanting to, you know, go play. And to have the opportunity is special. and that's the third Saturday in October.
Well done. Well done. Yeah, I like how you channeled your inner Big Josh there from that one. It was good.
Thank you.
Whatever, dude. That's Nick's handle when he calls into Basilia.
Yeah, you should have just gone with Big John, your actual first name. That'd have been good.
Just Big John.
We just doxed him.
Now everybody knows who I am.
They already know who you are, buddy.
But it's true. Tennessee and Alabama. I have a couple friends that are pretty good friends that are diehard, lifelong Alabama fans, and they'll tell you the same thing. Tennessee and Alabama built the SEC. It built Southern football. Obviously, Alabama's had more staying power in the modern era, but SEC football wouldn't have been what it was if it wasn't for Tennessee and Alabama. They won all the championships in the early years. They had all the best players. They had the best coaches, and they've each beaten each other more time than any other program. And I think it's an underrated rivalry. I think people are shocked when they hear Saban say things like this is a bigger game than Tennessee and Auburn. Mm-hmm. But for people who know ball and have watched and have been around, everybody knows that this is, I think the oldest and most important rivalry in college football. It's not technically the oldest, but I think of the oldest rivalries, this is the most important one.
Yep.
Yeah, hard to argue. I mean, there's definitely a lot of bad blood there, and it really was like completely different energy, being there in 2022 than any other game I've ever experienced or seen. And you could just tell how important it was for everybody that was there, that we win that game. And it was awesome to be able to break that streak and win that game. And gosh, I hope we win it again this year, boys. I mean, we're on track to, given the recent history, but we'll see. I mean, the boys got to go out there and take care of it. But I hope that there always is a palpable energy about the third Saturday in October. But I hope this year, being at home, having a team that we're, not as excited about as we were in 2022, but a team that we feel like we can rally around. I hope that people are, invested and ready to give their all for Tennessee that day.
Amen.
Here.
Well, this was our final installation of the Rocky Top Roots for this offseason. Next season,
well done,
we will
Nick.
Preview. Yeah, great job. Thank you, Nick, for all the hard work you've put in this offseason for that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll preview Tennessee's schedule next week, and then the week after that, we'll be just focusing on Furman, and we'll try and go 1-0 in week 1. And so we'll talk about Furman and what that matchup looks like, and we'll get into the season, boys. I mean, we're not far away. 10 days, like Nick said, till the first college football games, and 17 days until Tennessee takes the field. Jeff, you got any final thoughts?
Nope. I'm just looking forward to football time in Tennessee. It's been a long wait. And even if I'm not super optimistic, can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, tell them where they can find us, man.
They can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can find us on our YouTube channel, which is Volatile Podcast. You can find us on X at volatile_1998. And, it's time to gear up. We got a big episode coming next week. We're going to talk about Tennessee's schedule. And, unfortunately, some of the pain's coming. And so you're going to need us to go through this with you together.
Yep, that's right. And unlike the third Saturday in October, remember, it's terminal.